Happy week 10 dragons. Welcome back to Inside Ambition. And thanks for joining me on this week's episode of the Main Report, the weekly news rewind so that you don't get left behind. I'm Gabrielle Remo. You have made it through another quarter here at Drexel, and you should be so proud of yourself. It's not easy doing 10 weeks of a course, let alone 9. We've got lots of news to report this week before we go on break, so here's what I got for you today. The $1,400 stimulus check and COVID relief package being distributed. Next, a park in Callowhill that will welcome homeless folks. Then, Philadelphia's oil cleanup. Then, I've got 2 uplifting stories to end our episode. So, sit back, relax, and let's get into it. President Joe Biden was able to push through a COVID stimulus bill, and it is more than just a $1,400 check. Although, I was waiting for my stimmy. I will explain the bill in 6 sections. First, unemployment insurance. The weekly federal benefit of unemployment benefits remains at $300. Last month, the House passed a bill raising it to $400. However, the Senate dropped it back down to $300. Second, the bill includes $130 billion to allow for a return to full-time, in-person teaching at K-12 schools. It can be used for expanding testing, modifying classrooms for safety, improving ventilation, hiring more custodial staff, and making sure that every school has a nurse, which is alarming in itself that there are schools without one, and much more. Reopening schools has been the center for debate across both parties. Third, assistance for small businesses, landlords, and renters. Earlier relief bills created the Paycheck Protection Program to help small businesses. This new bill adds to that with another $50 billion, with an emphasis on getting money to small businesses quickly. This comes after around 400,000 firm closures and small businesses' revenue being down 32%. Now, this portion of the bill also has an additional $25 billion in rental assistance and $5 billion to cover home energy and water costs. Fourth, this bill has the expansion of the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. The measure provides $34.2 billion to expand healthcare subsidies. Fifth, a boost in the child tax credit. The child tax credit will rise to $3,600 per child under the age of 6 and $3,000 for children up to the age of 17 for 1 year. The current tax credit is $2,000 per child. The new benefit is fully refundable. Now, it is not for everyone. If one's income exceeds $150,000 per household or $75,000 for an individual, one will not be eligible for the child tax credit. And finally, vaccine distribution. $160 billion will now go to vaccine development and distribution. One of the few areas of agreement between both Democrats and Republicans is the $160 billion this bill provides for vaccines to combat COVID-19. The money covers additional testing and personal protective equipment. And it also includes funding to create community vaccination centers and deployment of mobile vaccination units to reach remote areas. But that's all for the American Rescue Plan. While many parts of the bill were debated on and negotiated down, this is a pretty comprehensive bill that will literally rescue many Americans from going under. A year into the pandemic, this is a bill that provides hope for many. Next in line is Callowhill Park. As the 1-year anniversary of the homeless encampments in Philadelphia approaches, a new story about the unhoused emerges. COVID-19 brought us many things, and an eviction crisis is unfortunately one of them, with Black Philadelphian renters facing the greatest rate of eviction. And sadly, this homeless crisis does not seem to have a foreseeable end. Not only are they being evicted from their homes, but public city spaces too. In the US, about half of the urban parks and rec agency directors see the homeless as an impeding nuisance, and around 75% of these same agencies are considering or flat out implementing hostile anti-homeless architecture. Homeless people are told to move along, and now they're creating their own park where this will never happen. The Callowhill neighborhood will undergo building a park in 2022, and it will be a park that welcomes the homeless and is partially designed by the homeless. This is an awesome thing happening here in Philadelphia, and I can't wait to see it come alive in 2022. Up next is oil cleanups in Philadelphia. If you care about the environment, who wouldn't? This next story is especially for you. Philadelphia has not only been the home of the Liberty Bell and godly cheesesteaks, but also the home to the largest former oil refinery in the United States, Philadelphia Energy Solutions, PES. Funny enough, my dear Drexel community, this refinery began right along the Schuylkill River in 1870 while incredibly expanding over the years. And this is not something to be proud of, friends. Gasoline was routinely dumped into the soil, damaging and draining the Schuylkill. So, what happened? In 2019, a part of Philadelphia Energy Solutions caught fire, forcing the decision of a permanent close. Now, this may seem unfortunate, but we should keep in mind the fact that polluted areas means low housing prices. What I mean by that is traditionally, the poorest communities exist close to industrial toxic areas like this. But alas, what was once the largest oil refinery is now the biggest oil refinery cleanup, which can take up to 15 years to complete, promising about 32,000 jobs. For the first time, the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection said it has court orders that will hold Sunoco and the firm that brought the assets of the refinery in bankruptcy fully responsible for all cleanup expenses. There is hope this refinery can become a model for other refinery cleanups, but my friends, this will not be the last. And onwards, in some super uplifting news, a Philadelphian teacher is raising money through a cheesesteak fundraiser in order to take his mom to go see the Great Pyramids of Giza in Egypt. The fundraiser started after his mom was unfortunately diagnosed with bladder cancer, so he decided to raise the funds to fulfill one of his mom's biggest dreams. With the goal of raising $10,000 for the trip, he posted on Facebook about the fundraiser and started selling the Philadelphia Classic at $15 a steak. And to finish off today's episode in some awesome Drexel news, both the men's and women's basketball teams are now advancing to the NCAA championships. For the men's team, this is the first time since 1996. Now, I would hate to steal Luciano's thunder in a story like this. So, for more info about this awesome event, check out the DAC Recap. The DAC Recap is a show on Inside Ambition where Luciano Duffy covers all things Drexel and Philadelphia sports. So if you want to hear more about that, go check it out. But that's all for the winter term, friends. Thank you so much for tuning in to the main report all season. Remember to be kind in all that you do. I'll see you in the spring and I'll miss you. Bye.
Hey there, it's Alex from the future, and I'm here to tell you if you subscribe to our channel right now, COVID-19 will be eradicated from the globe. Don't believe me? Go ahead, subscribe, you'll see.